Okay, so hey guys, and welcome back to another Axel 72 video, and in today's video I'm going to be giving my prediction for the Ricardo Malajika versus Jayson Mama fight. And so if you are new around here and you haven't yet subscribed, please do so, like the video if you do indeed like the video, and feel free to join the Patreon as well. It really does support the channel, and there's a good selection of members on there already which have recommended plenty of videos which, ultimately have ended up on the channel as a result of them. And you can request any kind of combat sporting related content of your own if you're wanting to join. And again, like I say, it really supports the channel. The link will be in the description. And so yeah, let's get straight into this one. So it's a IBO World Super Flyweight fight. It is Ricardo Malajika yet again coming back and defending his IBO belt. And from the looks of it, I mean, he's just going to be continuously defending or fighting for IBO belts for the rest of his career, because he's had plenty of fights with the IBO now. I think this is his third or fourth defense of his IBO Super Flyweight title, and last time out he went and won the flyweight IBO title as well. So he is a two-weight IBO world champion, which, yes, isn't one of the major sanctioning bodies, but it's still a big achievement nonetheless. And then I'm sure, for South African boxing, he is definitely a trailblazer to an extent for them. And the fact that he hasn't fought outside of South Africa means he's been able to build a fan base there. And I'm sure that there is a good fan base there that definitely does come and support him. And I mean, seemingly at the moment, you kind of have to make the argument that he is kind of now leading the way for South African talent, really. Now that Phumela Cafu suffered his defeat against Bam Rodriguez, yes, it wasn't a defeat in which, realistically declined his stock massively for Cafu, because everybody did kind of expect him to lose. But, nonetheless, Malajika is on the win streak. He's the one with the hype behind him at the moment. And it seems like the kind of lower weight divisions has always been kind of where the South African fighters have been able to thrive. I mean, in more recent times, your Non-Chingas, your Heki Budlers, of course, your Cafus and your Malajikas as well. Like I say, there's been plenty of talent from there in recent years, and it's nice to see that they're getting a bit more eyes on them and a bit more attention of what they deserve. I don't know if this fight is realistically getting a tremendous amount of attention, but I feel like it should be. I mean, Malajika himself has just recently gotten himself into the WBC rankings. He's also in the IBF rankings as well, and he's in the Ring Magazine rankings. So, like I say, he is in a very good position, and for an IBO champion, it will be interesting to see how long these other sanctioning bodies let him keep defending this belt, because I don't know if he'll kind of be forced to vacate it if he wants to actually go on and try and press for other titles in and around the kind of divisions in which he's in. I kind of hope that he is being guided, well. I think that he's been doing some work with Lennox Lewis out in Africa. I've seen that Lennox Lewis does plenty of work with fighters out there, and I saw a clip of them two together doing a bit of work. So that's, a great name to be in and involved with. I mean, I hope that Colin Nathan would be able to get involved and guide his career. I don't think he works with him, but, Colin Nathan has been able to take fighters like your Non-Chingas and like your Cafus and get them to a world level. So I think that could be the best possible route for him to go, to be able to get into a world ranked, fight, or, a high level kind of world ranked contender opportunity. Of course, last time out he was coming off a win, and that was a TKO or a KO win in round 2 against Jackson Chauke, and that was a fight in which I did a prediction video for a good few months ago now. I think it was about 5 or 6 months ago now, and it was a fight in which I thought that he'd lose Malajika. Honestly, he came in as the favourite, and I thought that Jackson Chauke, coming off the win where he beat Casey Kademi, who was, a highly ranked fighter and a prospect who was suspected from, fighting out of the UK to do good things. But again, Chauke was able to pretty much nullify him. But then Malajika was able to nullify Chauke. And of course, Chauke also went to a close split decision with Cafu in 2022. So the fact that Malajika was able to KO him in round 2 perhaps showcases some level of skill there in which maybe that slight bit more superior than that of Cafe. Maybe I'm just trying to build a bit of a narrative for them to inevitably have a fight. I will have to wait and see if, of course, that does happen. For, Mama, though, he's somebody who is a Filipino fighter, somebody in which, you can't underestimate. You can never underestimate these Filipino fighters, especially in the lower weight divisions. He's not really ranked particularly highly in any of the world kind of sanctioning bodies. He's ranked 15th in the WBA, but I do like the nickname Smasher. I feel like that's quite cool, and I don't think he's been smashing a tremendous amount of fighters, but still, like I say, it's a cool name, and he has fought much better opponents than that of what Malajika has, and by that I mean mainly kind of Sonny Edwards, who he lost to convincingly via unanimous decision in 2021. But in more recent times, the defeat in which he had against Puerto Rican prospect Juan Camacho Rivera was a good, entertaining fight, and Mama was able to score 2 quite shock knockdowns in the fight. I mean, the first one was, very much out of the blue and didn't really seemingly cause a lot of damage to Rivera, but then the second one, which again was a surprising but well-timed shot, which I think was definitely a better knockdown, did seem to, cause a bit of trouble to Rivera, but inevitably it wasn't enough to be able to get the win. To speak about both fighters individually as fighters, Malajika's got fast hands and typically would like to beat you to the punch. I think Mama's got quite fast hands as well, so again, this could be quite a fast, explosive type fight, as Malajika himself is quite explosive with his work. Something which I feel like he does well, which a lot of fighters perhaps don't utilise, especially as a fighter who's quite a rangy fighter. When he wants to, he's got good long swatting punches, and he's able to fully extend his arms and kind of utilise his whole range when he is throwing, and again, that's something in which could definitely cause problems to Mama. He's got that underrated power, and I mean, you can see from the clip of where he knocked out Jackson Chauke, it was a barrage of punches in which caused problems to him, but there definitely is power there. And like I say, from his frame, from his build, it doesn't look like there's a tremendous amount of power that he's going to be able to generate. But again, like I say, it can definitely be overwhelming. You can't deny his record of, knockouts. He can change levels well, and he can fight on the back foot or the front foot. He can fight in close or at mid-range. I think he's best at the mid-range, but sometimes does enjoy fighting in close. He can, change levels well and showcase good solid fundamentals. When he likes to fight best is when he is fighting with good solid fundamentals. I think that's how he nullified the majority of Braithwaite's attacks in their fight, which was a tough fight for him on paper, and he, like I say, won convincingly. I think he's very consistent and is able to fight to a game plan well. He's always seemingly working, and he does, again, in my opinion, bring back his punches quite well as well, which is another, like I say, good fundamental to have. Negatives about him, I think he does lunge in himself a bit when he is trying to be explosive. Again, similarly to his opponent, he doesn't always find gaps or angles that well. I think perhaps it's improving a bit, but again, I feel like he could still try to do that a bit better, especially when he is trying to throw that bit more variety of punches. He does move back and forth in straight lines, and he can duck in and drop his head when he does come in close. That's where, again, I do believe he does fight better at a mid-range. I don't think his physicality is the best, and I think when he looks his worst is when he does get roughed up a bit as well. His shot variation is quite limited, and again, it does look like he is throwing quite a lot of, arm punches. It doesn't look like he's really twisting into his shots a tremendous amount. His timing with counters isn't amazing, and he can be, a little bit predictable in his work at times. He can be, again, seemingly uncomfortable in close, and he doesn't often punch through guards of the jab. Again, I don't think the jab is the most powerful weapon in which he possesses, but I would just perhaps like to see that he sneaks that through a little bit more if he's going to put all his range into it. To speak more about Mama as a fighter, he keeps his right hand high and kind of attached to his chin for the most part, which is a nice thing and a refreshing thing to see for, because a lot of opponents don't do that. He circles off the ropes, and inevitably I think his movement is the best part of his game. He's confident, relaxed, loose. Again, that all is showcased through his movement. He can be explosive at the same time when he wants to be, and comes in with quite big shots at times, which he can sometimes time well. He tries to be first as well, and he wants to, and he's willing to fight at any tempo. So again, this could be quite a high-paced back and forth contest for however long it lasts. He's got a bit of an awkward style, which can be with the movement a little bit difficult to deal with, and he can frustrate. He does carry power, like I say, if you especially get overconfident. Again, Malajika could be, thinking that he's now in the rankings and things like that, and he could be getting a bit confident, especially, with the home crowd and things like that, and things going so well for him at the moment. He could get a little bit overconfident, and he does maintain a good work rate, Mama. So again, that could be, it could be a fight that could go at the full distance and still be fighting at quite a fast pace. Negatives about him: I don't think he jabs very well, and he fails to set up tremendously off the jab. His jab is quite a wasteful shot. It often isn't landing. His accuracy and his finding of range with that isn't the best, but it can set up a little bit. But again, it can be seen as quite predictable, especially as he does launch himself in as a result of a jab which isn't really set up, that well. His chin can be in the air, and his head movement is on and off. I think it's not bad, but his chin definitely can be in the air. He doesn't have the best shot variation, and he doesn't really change levels that often. I do think he could fight better in close, but doesn't. And, he does smother when he's in close, but that smothering can frustrate, and that seemingly did that to Rivera. So, again, I think he can fight better in close if he was to do it a bit more. But also at the same time, his balance when he is throwing can be a bit off as well. Like I say, launching himself in isn't really something that I would be recommending all the time. Who do I think is going to win? I think that Ricardo Malajika is going to be able to win via TKO in round 6. Again, I think it could be a straight shot barrage of punches where Jayson Mama is going to be trying to set up the big shots. Ricardo Malajika perhaps, sees them coming in the earlier rounds and evades, but then, like I say, using them rangier strikes, his jab is actually landing and perhaps doing a little bit more. Like I say, if it probably will be able to land because Mama, yes, has his right hand to his face, but often is trying to throw his left and his jab from the hip, so inevitably, Malajika isn't going to have to push for a guard to be able to get his shots to land. And I think if he is able to get a barrage of punches, I think Mama can be hurt in fights, but of course, hasn't been stopped just yet. So if Malajika is be able to get that TKO in round 6, in which I do think he will do, then that would be a good statement performance for himself, of course, given the names in which I touched upon Mama already fighting. Who I think will be next, perhaps for Malajika, especially if he wins via stoppage in this fight, I would really like to see a Cafu fight, to be completely honest. Yes, it might be a bit of a step down, for what Cafu's wanting, but I think at the same time, if Cafu's willing to stay at the super flyweight division, then I think it's a very good matchup. I think it's a position, where he can go back to home, have a whole camp in South Africa, then go on to fight a top-ranked fighter who, is a top-ranked fighter now, Malajika. So inevitably, that could be getting himself back into a good position for Cafu. And yeah, I think that probably is the best fight for his career to be made. I mean, Malajika might be able to fight something like a Rivera, who is, of course, on the latter side of his career now and has suffered a few big defeats to the bigger names, but is still a noticeable name in the division. Or Willy Baldo Garcia. Perhaps he could get into a world title shot. Like I say, being ranked with the IBF could get him in a good position there. Before, of course, Jesse Bam Rodriguez inevitably tries to come and get the belt. If he beats Martinez, he probably will then go for that IBF belt. But, if Garcia wants to have a fight in the meantime and try and defend that title, then a Malajika could be a good fight there to be made. But yeah, that's it for today's video. Hope you did enjoy. Like the video if you did, like the video, subscribe if you're new, and thanks for watching.